Hi everyone, you're welcome to the CU monthly live series for everyone, for the alumni. So for the alumni for all, we're bringing people, CU Eagles, to come and share and talk about different topics, things that they are experts on. My name is Cynthia Obioha. I run Time with Naraya, and today I'm also wearing the hat of CU alumni host. Cool. So if you're just tuning in, please hang on for a few seconds while we'll bring in our special guest for today. Let me see where she is. How's everyone doing? I hope you're good. Give us some time. We're just trying to bring in a guest. But stay tuned. I see you slash out with your popcorn. Everyone should grab their popcorn. After all, that's the only thing we do at home, right? We're not going out. Everyone is locked at home, at least almost everyone. So hold the popcorn, hold the drinks, whatever thing it is, water. If you still have food, bring out the food you still have. Let's have a conversation today. And tonight's conversation is around strategies to thrive while working from home. So some of us are struggling, but this is a good time for us to talk to someone that actually has, and she has some best practices that we all could learn from. Okay, so welcome, stay tuned, forward it to your friends. There is that arrow thing at the bottom to join us. Hi.
Hi, Narai. How are you?
Hey, Tolu, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Cool,
Good
cool.
to see
So
you. You look amazing.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for hopping on to chat with us on the CU Alumni live stream platform tonight. And looking forward to learning a lot from you, who has been working from home for X 3 years, right? So thank you so much for hopping on. But before we get into that, one thing that we wanted to give a shout out to is to the Eagles who have helped lead other Eagles in this time. So thank you everyone that has donated. There was a Lagos project, there's Abuja project. Thank you everyone for donating, for giving. And for the people that also benefited from it, thank you for being vulnerable and opening up to the alumni, to let them know that you're going through something, you're in need. But in the end, we're all in this together. So everyone just hang in there. We are going to emerge as well. We're eagles, right? That's what we do. All right, Tolu. Yes. Good to see you here. Good to have you here. Kemi, I am choosing not to see your comments. Hi,
Thank
President.
you.
All right, Tolu. Welcome. One thing interesting about Tolu is that Tolu studied mechanical engineering in school. She graduated in 2013.
Right.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Tolu has been in this personal brand strategy. Guys, we need to learn this. Maybe after a while, we'll bring her back to come and share some tips there as well. But without further ado, as I say, do you want to introduce yourself and so we can kick off?
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Eagles. And if you're not an Eagle and you're here, you're so welcome. Thank you for being here. So my name is Tolu Michaels, and I'm a personal brand strategist, just like Naraya said. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs launch their personal brands so that they can earn more money and impact lives profitably. So I
Mhm.
have been working from home since I started this business, which is 3 years now. And like Naraya said, I studied mechanical engineering. For the Eagles who are like, oh, I remember Tolu, this is what she was doing. Yeah, nah. So I made that move, and then it's really beautiful. In my line of work, I've seen a lot of people make that kind of move just
Mhm.
because we change all the time. We keep reinventing ourselves. We keep strategizing. So
Mhm.
so yeah, so right now we're in the middle of change. Almost everyone is forced to work from home because of the lockdown, and we're discussing how to thrive right there. So that's what I'm here for.
So Tolu, that's exciting, and who would have thought that would be like you? Like, if you had thought about it, you know that all of us, the world, we're going to stand still and be working from home like you. So we're looking
Right.
forward to hearing a lot of, the productivity tips that you have for us today. I know you have a lot to share with us. Looking forward to learning from you. But before we get there, because I like to poke nose, as we say,
Yeah.
why did you switch from mechanical engineering to personal brand strategy?
Oh well, I've done a bit of moving anyway when it comes to my career. I guess I was just looking for something that allowed me to help more people the way I wanted to help them. And honestly, I didn't just decide to say, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to move into. So it was more for me like I found myself in the middle of an interruption where I was in between jobs. But then I also said, you know what, since I'm unemployed anyway, I'll wait till I find a job that I really like. And you know, that's a very tough stand to take. So, but in the process, I started to do this work and started working with visionary people to say, look, you're doing good work. People need to know about what you're doing. People need to know you, because if they don't know you, you can't help them. And basically, that's how I started to do this thing. And then before you know it, people will be like, oh, Tolu, okay, I love your website. Who did it for you? I'm like, I did it myself. And no, you have to do mine. So it was really more of, I gradually eased into it. I gradually moved into this. And now that I'm in it, I can't even imagine myself doing anything else. I'm so grateful. I don't feel like mechanical engineering was a waste. People ask me that. I think that engineering gave me the mental thoroughness and intellectual patience to do, what I'm doing now. So that's how I got here in summary, but I love it. I love it. I can't even believe that I did not know I would do this.
Awesome. So I like that intellectual thoroughness. Is that what you said? Something.
Don't take it too seriously. I used to use it to, like just disturb my friends who were in social sciences. I'll tell you, look, I have more intellectual thoroughness just by being an engineer.
Fair enough.
So ignore it.
Everyone has a reason. Okay, so Tolu, I'm going to read this comment, and I think it's an important comment to read for the sake of this conversation. So, Tolu, hope you have paid your parents the balance for putting you through 5 years in CST, not just CST, in tech, as in engineering.
Oh my goodness. See, I'm a digital entrepreneur, and then my business is really all about helping people to, use their skills to change the world through technology. So you guys don't worry, like I'm still in tech.
All right, let's spend time on that, your business right now. So since your business, is giving you that skill and etc, this is us just trying to make sure that you're paying back the money, right? Let's talk about your business. So you set up this business at home, helping entrepreneurs and startups, position their brands really well. But one thing that you've been doing really well is in the last 3 years, you're working, again, I know I'm repeating it because it's the topic, right? But you've been working, in this from your home, and your home is actually in Port Harcourt, right? So, and I'm thinking a lot of things in my head when I was like, wait, do you have electricity steady? I mean, this is a Nigerian problem. Don't get me wrong. So I'm thinking this is a Nigerian problem. Do you have electricity? Do you have good connectivity, etc? Like, how are you able to do that? And of course, I know that you also have a toddler in the house. To tell us how you're doing this magic as a mom and someone that has this toddler around.
Right, that's a very interesting question, actually. And well, to be honest, like what happens is that you try to control as much as you can, but there are things that you absolutely cannot control. So, for example, the neighborhood that we live in, our first needed feature was electricity. So we get like 22 hours electricity, but there are times when something goes wrong. And then, I don't know, like something goes wrong and you probably just didn't plan for it and there's no electricity. So that happens. And then with the toddler, one thing I always say to people is that we kind of just need to understand the season that we are in. There's no season that lasts forever. So knowing that, there was a time in my business when I could only work with 2 clients one-on-one per month. And at that time, that was all I did, because in the first year, my daughter was at home for the entire year. I didn't want her to go to creche, So I needed to structure my business around that. And I think that this is something that we'll probably talk about, a bit later. Time, we can make more time. So we all have 24 hours, and then if you do some mathematics, that's about 168 hours a week. Like, to some people, that's a lot. It depends on how you look at it. But for some people, they're like, oh my goodness, can I have more time? But we can't make more time. So what we can do, however, is to fill it with what we choose. And I think that's what I've done, with having my toddler at home. I don't pretend, like literally all my clients know that I have a toddler. So I don't pretend like I don't, and I don't try to act like I don't. Sometimes I'm like, look, I know we plan to have this meeting, but I need to dash off to my child's school. Oh, I forgot something, or she forgot her bottle or something. So, and people are actually forgiving. This is what I've found. I've also seen that a lot of the pressure we put on ourselves, we put it by our own selves. Communication is really, really important. So even now that you're having to work from home, I've seen people who said, look, I had to tell my manager that my most productive time is when my child is napping. And that makes a lot of sense, you know. So when people know like the situation that you're in, they're kind of able to you know, to be more forgiving and to work around it and accommodate it. So I guess we'll talk about this more, but it's just important to be able to accommodate the important things into your schedule. Like my child is not an afterthought, you know. And every time people ask me, oh, how do you live with a daughter? I'm like, everything that comes now meets her here. So if somebody is asking me, oh, Tolu, can you jump on a live session tomorrow? The answer is definitely no, because tomorrow is not enough time for me to think about where I'll put my daughter. But if I was in another season of life, I'll probably have said yes, why not? So I guess it's just about knowing what times that we're in and then working around that.
Right. So let's talk about this time, right? Of course, one of those times, and you said something about knowing the season that you're in. And I know that even though we know that you're working from home, we know that yours has also changed in the last 2 weeks in a way. And this is because, and this is because, you know, we came home to work with you, right? For obvious reasons, good reasons, of course, you know, just to curb this whole coronavirus pandemic, you know, to reduce, as I say, to flatten the curve, etc. So now we're here in that position that you are in, but yours also, you know, changed. So can you share with us some strategies, you know, for working from home from what you were doing before we altered, we, the world, came to meet you in your space?
Okay, so now what I'll do before I share the strategies, I'll just take some time to also talk about, you know, some of the problems I've seen, like I think that almost all of us will be, you know, will be going through right now. So something that all of us are probably doing wrong right now is we're probably underrating how long it takes to do things. So sometimes you'd say, if you were going to an office, having lunch is a matter of walking to the canteen or going on Hello Food, you know, to order food or you know, or just walking into a restaurant down the street. But now that you're working from home, having lunch probably involves you're thinking about you and every other person, and then you're thinking, okay, oh my goodness, I made that yesterday. I remember when I had a corporate job, right? I was eating the same thing every day for a week. It didn't matter. But when you're at home, all of a sudden it's different. Like you're just like, oh, let me just add some carrots. And meanwhile, you have said to yourself that I'm going to take a 30-minute lunch break. You didn't give it enough time. So we literally underrate how long it takes to do things, and so we take on so much. So when somebody says, can you quickly help me with this? I'll say, sure, I'll do it tomorrow. Sure, I'll give you 10 minutes. Sure, give me 5 minutes. Then the other problem is we kind of plan too late. And I'm not even saying this to judge anybody because this used to be me. But I think that motherhood has kind of just reset my brain. Before, I wake up in the morning and that's the day that I'm making the to-do list for that day. You know, or when somebody tells me, okay, we need to get this done by 18th. In my mind, 18th. Today is just 7th. It's too early, please. We'll discuss it on the 16th. You know, and that's kind of just it would definitely turn your schedule upside down. And then we don't plan at all. That one happens to some people. And then the other problem we have, you know, we have problems with things we can't control. I can tell you that I have planned this 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. to the T. Like the moment I knew I was coming here, everything, you know, this. But you guys believe me, my daughter is awake now. According to my plan, she was meant to be asleep. But, you know, I can't control the fact that she's awake. So I just told her father, I'm going for live session. You guys do whatever you like. So now that is something he cannot control. Whatever he had planned for right now is on hold because he's just going to be with her and be singing ABCD. So you know, so there are some things we can't control. PHCN, internet, different things. But for strategies, Naria, so I'm going to take a bit of time to, you know, just share some of the things I have.
Take your time.
Okay, one thing for me is really about determining what matters. So I've talked about the problems, and then I just want to share how to deal with them. Everything cannot be important at the same time. Several things might sound nice, especially now that, you know, there's quarantine. People are saying 10 things you should do while at home. Try and understand. They're not saying you should do the 10 things. They're just saying these are 10 options. So you can pick some, you know, like everything cannot be important at the same time. So I always ask myself, what will matter at the end of this day? So I plan for, you know, like the week and then the next day. So before I'm planning for the next day, I'm asking, so by the end of tomorrow, what will matter to me? By the time I'm doing like a personal end of month review, what will matter to me? See, by the end of this month, I won't care how many WhatsApp messages I've read. I can assure you, it won't matter to me. So that cannot fill up my time, you know. So when you think about it that way, when you determine what matters to you and you prioritize, then you're able to create time for those things. So, and there shouldn't be too many. like for me, well, personally, I usually have 3 big goals a year. This was since I became a mom. Before, I was that person that had like, this year I will do 20 things. Now I realize my limitation. I have 3 big goals a year, and I meet them because I mean it's 3 things, right? And it makes me as happy as I would have been if I wrote 20 random things, to be honest. So yeah, so to tell you what matters to you. There's something else I wanted to share is about looking at time holistically. And the way I do that, I use something called a 24-hour timetable. It's not sophisticated. A4 paper can do it. I don't know if you can see, but this is like a note that has it has blocks of time, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. So I just wanted to give like a visual cue of what it looks like, not like you can see the exact.
So it looks like is it pretty much a planner or like a diary
so
or calendar?
This is my planner, but what I did was I took a plain page out of the planner, and then I just used pencils to draw these lines. So Monday, Tuesday across, Wednesday to Sunday, and then from the top, the columns are 1 hour each, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. And you notice that they are small, but the reality is this is actually how little you can do in an hour. So it's a 24-hour timetable, and obviously there's an entire block of time here that is just sleep, as in it's sleep from Monday to Friday. So which is like between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. The entire thing is sleep. That kind of time, or 12 to 5 or 11 to 6, whatever your sleep time is, everything is sleep. But the point is, I can see it. Do you get, like, I can tell how long I'm sleeping for. It's not to judge yourself, and we don't have to put the same things on our calendar, but it's to look at it holistically and be able to put in the big stuff first. So what I do is, every time. So we have to be flexible about this stuff. If you had this calendar in June 2019, of course, it's obsolete now because the whole world, like, we've all had to redo our schedules. So yes. So every time you're going to do this, things will change. But at the moment, because I am, in my business, I build personal brand websites. At the moment, I have something called website hours. So in my website hours, I'm reviewing what my colleagues have done, or maybe something I did myself, or sometimes actually go hands on and build from scratch myself as well. So, or something I built myself and then I want to look at it again. But it's not changing. It's a block of time. So I have website hours every week. You can't catch me doing anything else at that time. That is important. So those are the holistic things.
Question for you before you go on.
Okay.
Before you go on the planner, like, what's the time you have set? Of course, some of us are 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, or Lagos 5 a.m. to 8 p.m.
To whenever.
How do you have your spread? What's the beginning and the end as well for the hours?
Right. Okay. So it depends. For me, I start at 6 in the morning. So, and when I was in Lagos, that's too late. My planner used to start at 4 when I was in Lagos, because you need to build traffic into this thing, So, but for now that I don't have to deal with that, it starts at 6 in the morning. So you see, so and that's 6 in the, and it's nothing. Trust me, it's not as exotic as it sounds. 6 to 7 is probably me just making breakfast and lunch for my daughter and husband to take to work and school. It's not. It doesn't mean I'm doing, But the point is, it is in here. And for you, like even when you have like a 9 to 5, for you, if you have a 9 to 5, some things go in there, like all these Monday stand-up meetings. If you have those, it goes in there. Friday briefing, it goes in there. Even after work stuff. I've been using this plan for a long time. This method for a long time. And there was a time when after work, like every Friday.
Someone is saying here you actually taught her to use it 8 years ago, and she's still shocked that you do the same thing. So go on.
Oh my goodness, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So and for me, after work, then I used to go to Freedom Park for fish and chips. It was in my planner. Like it's not about whether it's important or not. It's important to me. That's all that matters. So yeah. So and it's not entirely full. I don't know if you can see this thing. There are lots of empty, and I'll show you why. Like there's a lot of empty, because what is happening is I'm saying, let me look at all the time I have. After all, it's not going to change. We're going to have 24 hours every single day. And put in the big stuff, put in the things that matter. Will there be emergencies? Yes. There'll be emergencies. In fact, we're in the middle of an emergency right now, but people are not treating it as an emergency. That's why they're tired. You think you're working from home, but it's not the same. You're kind of like trying to work from home while the whole world is also trying to recover from a crisis. So yeah, mentally you should actually be tired if you don't think about it that way. If you don't consider that. So when I put in the big stuff, I have all these empty blocks of time. That's when people now ask you, hey, can we chat for a minute? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you come out here? That's what all those empty blocks of time are for. And you won't feel bad. You won't feel guilty. Like I can nap in the afternoon and not feel guilty because when I look at this plan, I actually see how much I've accomplished before 12 p.m. or before 1 p.m. And it's okay for me to say, look, I need to nap. So that's what this does for you. Again, will there be emergencies? Yes, but when the fire is out, you won't be lost and confused. You just go back to whatever plan you had before. There are days when I'm on the road all day and this planner just goes to bed, like nothing there happens. But the point is, it's good to know you can always come back to it. So again, don't fill up every block of time. Plan for distractions. We all have our distractions. Working from home right now, everybody's probably saying this. But you're like, I'm going to take 15 minutes to write that email. And then you look up and you're like, my goodness, that table is dusty. You go up and grab justice. Because you're at home. Because you're at home, there's not much you can do about that. But you can, plan for those distractions. So what I would say to people is, if the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, it's taking 15 minutes to do this, just make it 30. Just tell the person 30 so that you don't have to start saying, I'm sorry. So just tell the person, I'll be back in 30 minutes. And then the next thing is to raise urgency. So I can put all this nice stuff here, but I need to ask myself, before I go to bed, why is it important for me to do this tomorrow? Like, who is going to die? Sometimes it's even you. For me, like, I really liked and respected my line manager, when I was working, and I didn't even want her to, I didn't want to be in her bad books at all. So once I gave her time to say, look, I'm just gonna get this to you by Friday, it's enough urgency for me because I don't even want to hear her shout. like for me, that's all the urgency I need. The fact that, man, I don't want this woman to say, I was expecting this and I didn't get it. Let's discuss. I don't want to discuss, So for me, that was the urgency. So raise urgency. Somebody's asking if I do this weekly or daily. No, I have this planner I can use this planner for like 3 months at a time. So, but what I do.
But do you plan out? Do you just plan, like, let's say every week you have a new set of plans, that you've built up from your 3 years goal?
Well, so again, because things are a bit, even though I'm an entrepreneur, like there's still some routine part of it. So I can expect that. So sometimes I have consulting calls with clients, but I made that calendar. So they can't even book at a time when my planner says I can't be there. So I have like consulting calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you're going to book a call with me, the days you will see there will probably be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. You won't see Monday or Friday because I don't do consulting calls with those days. So that's how much it is planned. But in terms of the nitty-gritty, for me, I take each day as it comes. But what I do is I do it the day before. I don't do my to-do list in the morning. It's too late. For me, it's just too late at that time. So the day before, I'm saying, what are the 3 most important things for today? What do I have to do today? And I mix big things and small things. So call mommy. I don't know if you guys have like my type of mommy where she'll go like, you didn't even call me for 2 weeks. So I'm just like, man, call mommy today so that one is gone for this week. So those kind of things. So I was saying raise urgency. And raising urgency is just all about who needs me to do this today. It might even be you. Sometimes I need myself to get something done because when I get it done, it gives me peace of mind. So I would have that conversation and say, look, this is what's going to happen if you don't do this. That's how I raise urgency. And then I tackle priorities first. So again, everybody will be trying to have a slice of your pie. But you just have to say today's priority. There's some things you just have to get out. So if you're working with a colleague, you're collaborating on something, the person has to present you on Friday and you need to get it to them on Wednesday. It becomes by Monday, it's already becoming a priority. Because if it extends past Wednesday, then somebody else's work is at stake. So there we go. The other thing I recommend is to use routine. Just now that we are working from home, use routine as if you were in the office. So if you were in the office, you have Monday meetings, you have Friday briefings, you have, all those things you have. You have maybe like times when you go to client stations or depending on what it's like in your industry. So have that kind of routine for yourself. The way I say I have website hours to make it even interesting. I have something called Website Wednesday, just personally because the W just sounded fancy to me. So I'm like, Website Wednesday. So I have like 4 hours on Wednesday morning where my brain is all websites. So I use that kind of routine just to it's almost as if I'm tricking my brain to be like,
Right.
see, this is serious business. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the other thing that works for us is using environmental triggers. So this is my office actually, and once I'm in here, once I'm at my desk, everything is just like I'm at work.
You feel like
Better believe me that that table is dusty thing I said doesn't happen to me anymore, because I work from 9 to 4. That's like the schedule I have. I'm in here 9 to 4, except when I like walk around. And even that I'm walking around, to be honest, I try not to go too far, because if I go to the living room, the table is dusty, it's just gonna happen to me. I'll be like, oh my goodness, or I'll start talking to my housekeeper or something random that I wasn't supposed to be doing. So yeah, so using environmental triggers is a real thing, and you might not have an entire space to use as an office. It might just be a corner of your bedroom. So, I used to have this, and I still have that, where I'm just like, okay, once I get in this corner, there's something I'm supposed to do. So another kind of environmental triggers. Have you seen those people who say that they put their gym wear at the bottom of their bed, so that when they wake up in the morning, that's the first thing they see, and they're like, man, I have to go run. That's an environmental trigger.
Yeah.
Some people call them visual cues. So what you're doing is you're leaving these clues. Yeah, so you're leaving these clues everywhere just to remind you that, look, I have to do this. Because honestly, the struggle can be very real. So we're not even denying that. So yeah, so
I don't even want to connect with the gym one. For me, maybe water. Just having, how people just have water in different places. The gym one, that's conversation for another day.
Exactly. Exactly. So that can remind you to drink water. It can remind you to. Sometimes I use flashcards as well, and the flashcard will be like, call, so and so person. Because that thing where somebody calls you, like, oh my goodness, I've been meaning to call you since forever. They're not lying. It's true. They've been meaning to call you. But it's just that life and time happen. So, but environmental triggers are so important. You can't be trying to work from your bed. Please, for those of us that are new in this business, let us tell you, we've tried it and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even 3 years after, it still doesn't work. Like when I'm here, sometimes I do, like burn the midnight oil. Sometimes I'll say, hey, let me go and do it so that at least it's not like as if I'm not present. Even if my family members are sleeping, let me be there beside them. Man, the midnight oil doesn't burn on the bed, so just leave that bed alone. Just leave that bed alone.
The
And
bed
then
actually also aches. Sorry to go, but like after a while, you
that's
just
fine.
start getting body aches from the bed. So please, for your posture,
Absolutely.
then,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. And that's even, those things are, they're even psychological. So when you start to feel, the beat of backache and everything, your brain starts to say, I'm tired.
Right.
Like it's like your body is telling your brain that, oh, I've done too much, even though you've only sat in the wrong position for too long. But your body is now telling your brain, look, I've done too much, I've done too much. And so your brain is like, I'm tired. That's when you see yourself staring at this spreadsheet and you can't see anything again, because you're just like, man, I'm tired. So yeah, and then the next thing is communicating to all stakeholders. I kind of said this before, but now our stakeholders have changed. So now that we're all at home, our stakeholders include our friends, some people who they have more time on their hands and they want to give you work because they are not really doing a lot. They're also stakeholders. It's okay to tell them, say, if I don't reply your chat between now and now, it's because I'm working. Just let them know. Environmental, other stakeholders include, like your family. So I'll give you an example. So if I was going to have a meeting by 2 p.m., I didn't need to like prepare the family and say, oh, okay, you're going to take care of the child, because she's not even going to be at home at that time, ordinarily. My husband is also not going to be at that time. He would also be at work at that time, ordinarily. Right. So in that moment, they're not really stakeholders. But right now, they are all stakeholders. So it changes. So it's not even just your colleagues, but even your family as well. Confirm with them, okay, remember we have to do this tomorrow at so time, and then set expectations around it. Like, no, you can't. I think this is going to be a Zoom meeting, but you won't be able to pop in and ask me anything. So can we, let's make sure that there's no need for that popping in. Maybe because I'm meeting with the chairman of the board, even if it's via Zoom, so nobody's popping in. So you just want to set expectations. And then one thing that I have learned in this past 1 week is, so my daughter is really young, but if you have like older kids, in fact, you enjoy this, which is like involving them. So in this office now, my husband has brought in his own chair and table because I think he has realized that that bed is too comfortable. I told him in the
Was he
beginning, but he
working?
was
Was he
like,
working in the
no,
office
this is his
before?
first time. He has never worked from home. So in the beginning, I told him, he was like, but you know, he just feels like, at least let's enjoy the benefit of being at home. I'm like, no, you won't be happy because you look at your day and nothing happened. But well, now he knows, so he's moved in here. So he sits opposite me, and then we just got this like, you know, little chair for Auntie Madame. So she just sits in the corner, you know, with her board books and crayons. So she assumes she's working just like everybody else. Because I mean, we're all looking at our computers and serious and everything. So it kind of works. But it's not absolutely quiet. So if you need absolute quietness, you may need to plan around nap time. If nap time is predictable, if it's not predictable, please just understand that this is the season we're in. You can't really do too much. I think that most people should be clapping for themselves, honestly, Naraya, because we have a lot going on, and we're trying to navigate, you know, this working from home, homeschooling, keeping everybody busy without leaving the house. It's a lot, and even for those who live alone, like, so maybe even if, you know, you're alone right now, your family is not with you, it's still a lot for you. The fact that you can't just say, oh, okay, I need to go to another side of town. Because now, then you need to have a reason to do that. Like, you need to need something essential. So yeah, so everybody's going through a lot.
So how does
One
it
thing
feel
that
working with your colleagues? Because now you have colleagues. How does it feel having your colleagues around you? Your husband?
oh my God, you know, and see, this is also something I've also seen is that I think this period has also, like, it has increased collective empathy, because there were times when people used to make me feel like, you've been home all day. You know, I've not gotten that vibe, not from my home colleagues, not from anybody. Nobody is saying, oh, Tolu, wow, you must have so much time. Because now we're all at home and people are saying like, man, it's not really like you have more time. Sometimes it's even harder because the office environment, it's an office. That's what you came there to do, work.
Right.
But at home is a bit, you know, it's a bit kind of different. So having them some days is really interesting. Some other days, I'm like, man,
You
you
don't have to
family
say.
colleagues,
They might be
you
watching.
win. No. I mean, it's always a good day. Of course, my son have to. So, but you know, but the thing is, there are days when I just tell them, look, you guys win. So I shut down my laptop. You have won. What do you want? Should we go and make pancakes? In short, it's okay. I'm yours for the rest of the day, and that's okay. So I think we should allow that. That's okay as well. One thing that might really work for you again is to batch your work. I've been doing this for years. So I don't, for example, I don't write and design at the same time. So if I wanted to design templates, I'll just go in, design templates. And then if I want to write, I write. So for people who have to deal with, you know, maybe financial models, spreadsheets, because that was my life before. When I build like a new model or something, I'm just working on the basics that time. I come back later to review. Like, I don't build and review at the same time. I don't build and test at the same time. I'm not also trying to validate it at the same time. So that's what I mean by batching your work. Like, do similar things together. So if you feel like chopping things, chopping carrots, onions, whatever is now part of my daily routine since I'm cooking 3 meals. See, even me that I've been working from home for 3 years, I've never really had to cook 3 meals because nobody's at home to eat 3 meals. But now it's a reality, right? So now I've just added that one to the things I batch. So I'm just like, everything that I'm going to chop today, let me just chop it. You know, and then later cook. So I think it really helps. What it does is it will cover your time for you because it gives you this, you know, energy to do this thing, and then you do it sharp, you move on, you rest, then you go on to something else. But if you do this, you know, switching tasks, some people call it multitasking, but it's really switching between tasks. So task switching does something to your brain that makes you tired faster than you should be. So yeah.
So one thing I heard you say, if I heard correctly, is you know, the benefits of prepping, especially now that a lot of things have happened. So for you, it's chopping carrots ahead of time, you know, so when it's time, you know, it cuts that time for you. So it looks like we need to do a lot of prepping now, especially for people, like you said, there are some people that live alone, like myself, that actually, you know, have to restructure their lives still, even with this. If not, you become very lethargic and you don't get anything done. And there are some others that have, like, you know, mommy pulling their hair, you know, daddy, you know, come and do something, you know, but in the end, like, just preparing and planning for these things. I think that's what one of the things I hear you say. Yeah.
Yes. Having, you know, prepping for them really helps. And honestly, even if you're living alone, so another thing is, I think that we need to also, I mean, this is not a mental health conversation, but it's important to say that we need to be aware of the times that we are in.
Yes.
Like you need to be aware of the season you're in. So sometimes the fact that you're living alone if your productivity may even dip, because you kind of feel like it's isolation in a way, and that does something to you. So you might need to schedule in, time for like a virtual co-working, or time to see like some interesting movie, as in not those boring ones that make you cry, the ones that make you feel like, oh, I'm in the movies.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, it's just this idea of saying, look, what can I do to make my brain perform at optimum right now? And then it's also about knowing yourself. Some people are morning people. Whether you work from home, you work from a co-working space, you work from an office, you work from the beach, it doesn't matter, they're morning people. Some people are night people. I think instead of trying to fight that, because somebody told you that successful people always, are always morning people, instead of trying to fight that, I think you should just work with your strengths and do what works for you, especially right now. This is not the time to be trying to over push yourself, because I mean, you want to be there for you right now. You really want to be there for you right now. So that will bring me to my next point, which is probably to step away when it feels overwhelming. There are days when I'm even in this office alone, and then I kind of just feel like a tear coming, like in the corner of my eye, and it's just overwhelmed. Nothing. Where I'm just like,
talk to us about
oh
it,
my
Tolu.
goodness, I have done so much. And I'm saying this because I feel it might happen. So if this has never happened to you, because you're always working with many other people, so it might happen now and then, so that you don't feel like, oh my goodness, like is something happening? I say, am I showing symptoms? No, like you're probably just overwhelmed. And when you feel overwhelmed, you should step away. That's not the time to start saying, let me finish this email. Step away when it feels overwhelming. You'll come back, and I promise you, nobody's gonna die. They'll all be there. All those WhatsApp and red messages, they'll be there. You'll come back, and you always come back refreshed and energized.
Right.
And yes, there's that. So, Naraya, over to you.
I know. Thank you so much. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to, to process. But we still have more, and we're going to take. Let me say, literally, we're going to squeeze everything out of you, just because you can tell we don't know how to do this. So, for context, for myself, I think I work from home occasionally, probably once or twice, like let's say 1 or 2 times a week.
Oh, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, it's just preference actually. I'm too lazy to just get on the road. Not really. But right now, I think for me, it helps me like focus, right? The time I'm thinking of commute, sometimes it helps me just sit down and get work done. But one thing definitely that, you miss there is just walking up to that colleague, to ask questions. I remember talking to someone as well who's working from home, and the person said, and I think I've actually heard a lot of people say this, they feel more stressed right now because they can't go and ask a colleague. So how do you do that? Because I know you have a remote team. You have colleagues, not your family colleagues. Let's leave those people. Let's talk about the real colleagues you have. So how do you do that? How do you get to ask those questions? You pop in and pop out. One of the things I've heard people say as well is, if you're not at desk, put something in your status. If you have like a chat system at your workplace, telling people maybe not on my desk or something like that, just so people know, because they can't see you. But do you want to talk about how you also try to work with your team more efficiently this time?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really nice question. And then, I'd answer it from the perspective of what you said in terms of, are we not feeling more stressed because we cannot, just reach out to people? Sometimes now we realize, what we're realizing as we're working from home now is that sometimes when your colleague comes to ask you a stupid question, we're not meaning to ask you a stupid question. We just wanted to let off steam. I say, what, let me go and give somebody else this stress. I could Google it, but let me give them the hard work to do. And now you can't do that, So one thing that I always say is that for remote teams to thrive, you have to over-communicate.
Yes.
Just take it. On a normal day, when you're seeing someone, they can tell you, oh my goodness, you're over-communicating, it's too much. That one only happens when you're face-to-face. And on a remote team, like, you have to kind of over-communicate because people can't even see you. So sometimes if you make it too short, like if you just say, oh, please do this, they might say, so sometimes you might need to now add an emoji. That's what I mean by over communication. And you might be experiencing this right now, where people are not getting exactly what you said because you said it the way it came to your head. But now you have to type it. read what you wrote, and then write it. You want to write it in the best way so that when they finally read it, because remember, we're all working from different time zones right now. So you want to make sure that when they finally read it, their reply is not, please, can you explain the second paragraph?
Right.
You want them to come back doing what you told them to do. So you give as much information and detail as possible. So yes, and then also from a, let me say from a boss perspective, right? One thing that I told my colleagues, like every time anybody joined the company, I said to them, look, one thing you can't run away from here is proactive communication. So if by the time I'm checking in on something that you were meant to do, and you're telling me, oh, it was the Wi-Fi, or this, it just looks like an excuse. It doesn't sound like a reason anymore, because now you have to say something. So even if you are correct, I'm struggling to trust you. So that is something we all have to do right now, proactive communication, which is just telling them in advance, you know, saying it in advance. Okay, I'm going to, you know, I'm still planning to get this in at 2, but it's raining here and the internet might just go bonkers. I wanted to give you a heads up. Don't worry, they won't feel angry that you said that. It's even better for you, because now you can sit down and not start stressing about that. Because remember, we can't be stressing this period. Like, there are several things trying to stress you. You cannot add yourself to the stressor. So, so yes, there's that. And then you should use tools that help us work transparently. In my business, for example, we use a tool called Basecamp, but there are several tools. So there's Asana, you know, some
yes, so many
Trello.
Tools,
Yes. So there are several collaborative tools. Don't say it's too techy. There's nothing like that. This is 2020. It's only going to take you reading like 1 or 2 help documents, and it will save you. So same thing with, like, you know, using Google Documents. It's, you know, you might feel like you're doing too much, but what happens is that by the time both of us are supposed to work on a document, and then both of us are collaborating inside a Google Doc, I'm not going to ask you, what are you doing? It removes that, because I can see it. Do you see? And I'm not going to say, oh, where did you stop? Because I can see it. So that's the power of using these collaborative tools. So I do things like that. Something else that we do, which you might, if you're a manager right now, you might need to incorporate, is, you know, like one-on-ones, virtual one-on-ones. Yep. So you might be having physical one-on-ones, but you need to do virtual one-on-ones. And because times are different, you might need to do it more often than you would have done it. So in the office, if you were doing it like once a month, you might need to do it twice a month right now, just because, you know, there's this dynamic of I can't see you, you can't see me. So let's not make sure things fester for too long. So I do virtual one-on-ones. And then for managing those meetings, there are scheduling tools. There's Acuity scheduling. I prefer Calendly because it just looks simpler. But there's Acuity, and then there's Calendly. That's Calendly.
Booking tools,
and then Acuity is just as it sounds. Yeah, so you can use those to, you know, schedule meetings, and these things have free plans. So even though you're going to use it for just the lockdown period, it's worth having the free plan to you know, just test it out and use it to improve your communication. To be honest, once it has to do with other people, only one soft skill is probably important, which is communication, respectful communication, proactive communication, all of that. Once you get that out of the way, please, people have made tools to make your life easier. Just pick one of them and collaborate using it.
So this is a good time to also mention, like, you know, people, especially this time, don't hit that send until you have read that thing many times. And if possible, if it is something that you understood in a weird way, step out a bit, type it in the draft, leave it there, or type it in a Word like document or something, leave it there, you know, go and breathe. Do one of those things, eat carrots, and come back to it before you hit that send. You know.
Yes, and one more tip would actually be read it out loud. Like, don't read it in your mind. Read it, like, put it in front of you and say to yourself, you know, step away when it feels overwhelming. Like, literally read out what you're saying before you say it, because I mean, like, don't add to people's stress, and don't even like complicate things for yourself, because I don't know, like, emotions are running high right now. Some people, it's not really the work that's stressing them, but it might just be something domestic. Because again, many people are having to have more FaceTime than they've had with their family members in an entire year. And for some people, it's not going good. You know, yes, we're all smiling, we're happy, but it's not everybody that is smiling about this right now. So ease off that stress. by just reading what you want to send before before you know making their life more complicated.
And you talked about that FaceTime. Like, so the FaceTime, of course, is not the iOS version. We're talking about real FaceTime
Ah!
with your family, guys, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Please, it's only for a season, right? Try
Yes.
to see if there's any way you can work things out. You know, if you're going through one of these tough times with a family that can make things
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Mm-hmm.
not, you know, just be patient. Like Tolu said, you know, just understand the times that you're in. I know it's
Yes.
difficult. You know, I was looking at was it China stats when they came out of the lockdown, about 5 million jobs, you know, were lost. So that means more people were going to remain at home after the lockdown. But there were also a lot of people divorcing. You know, there were a lot of things
Yes.
happening. You
Yes.
know, so
Yes.
please, guys, this is not the time. I'm praying it doesn't happen to us here. Don't disown your family. Don't don't divorce.
Naraya, like I like that you got exactly what I was trying to say.
Please. Yes, I mean we're you know great minds.
Yes.
But yes, please, just a lot of patience is required at this time. So I wanted to touch on something else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
part of work,
Mm-hmm.
what we do is I imagine in Nigeria, a lot of us. I remember that when I was working in Nigeria, one of the things that we used to do a lot is TGIF. Right. There's a lot of, you know, like team bonding or colleagues saying, hey, you know, let's go have dinner. Let's do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about how to keep the team morale even when you are, you know, a virtual team. Is there anything that you practice on your own part to make this happen virtually?
Okay, right. I continue to look for ways to improve on that because personally, it doesn't come naturally to me. I'm an introvert, so the more you leave me by myself, like the kind of happy I am anyway. But but on my team, something that we do. So we have all hands, which is like all team, which is everybody having a meeting as opposed to like one on one. And during our all hands, we have all sorts, like all
Mhm.
sorts. We have exercise break where you know we're on Zoom looking at each other, stretching. Somebody's leading the exercise for like 10 minutes. We have we have icebreakers. So, for example, we just start with a random question. You know, something. We try not to be too personal, but if the person allows it, so something random that is not about work, you
Mhm.
know, just to ease that stress. Something else that we do, for example, we take photos. So when you have like your work meetings, you guys can just smile for the camera and have somebody do a screenshot of their computer, which would
Mhm.
have been the equivalent of a selfie if you were, you know, like in
Yeah.
a physical office. So those kind of
Mhm.
little things. Well, at several times during the year, we try to do like meetups. Oh, I'm in Lagos, I'm here, okay, you know, let me. So
Mhm.
we do a meetup. Then we have like retreat. So those are some things that we do normally to kind of make up for the time we don't see each other. But right now,
Mhm.
I've been hearing all sorts of interesting things. So house party over the Apple, not like a real physical
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
staying
like
home.
Zoom meetups, virtual co-working. So
Mhm.
I'm part of a group. You know, there's something Seth Godin has. Seth Godin is one of the people who inspire me. So he has like a community of his alumni. So in that group, there's nothing I've not seen. Like we have a something conference coming up. We've had a virtual co-working space, which is
Mhm.
just all of us are in a Zoom room working on our computers. So you can anytime just look in there and say, hey, whose space is this? Or hey, hi, you know, as a way of just
Yeah.
letting us know, hey, what are you working on? You know, who is there? I've seen several things in there, you know, people coming up with new and interesting ways to collaborate and to say, okay, this is a room for this, or this is a time for
Mhm.
this. So I think we just have to be creative around those. But the other thing is, as creative as it sounds, we now need to be serious about it. So if we say, for example, that there's going to be a pop-up, you know, 10 minutes hangout, you have to
Right.
show up, like take it as a
Mhm.
priority. Don't say, oh shit, we're going to play, because remember, this is all you have. You can only hang out virtually right now. So to make
Mhm.
it work, everybody has to kind of show up, send reminders, make it fun, bring your happy self. So I think that, yeah, it's just about communication. See, I think that we all have a leadership opportunity right now. Like
Mhm.
everybody right now can literally be a leader. Like you can literally choose to be that person who is checking up with people. You can
Mhm.
choose to be that person who is saying, hey, is this too much? Can I take some off you? You can choose to be that person who is saying, like, what I'm saying on my team right now is, look, it's not that deep. Like, we'll do this today, then we'll do this tomorrow. Like, I understand that this
Yeah.
might be a lot, it's the same way some employers were saying in March that even if I wanted to delay salary, it cannot be this month because you guys need to stock up. That's leadership, just
Right.
finding ways to be there for one another. And language is powerful. I think that when you have like a team meeting, this is not the time to be saying, especially if you're a leader, this is not the time to be saying crisis, pandemic. Like look for other words. Like those words are so, it makes people panic. And when people are panic, they make irrational decisions.
Right, right. I think it's good that you're talking about that because some of us here actually are also not just leaders. Some of us are also like even employees, and some of our leaders haven't actually thought about these things as well, virtual hangouts or virtual offsite etc. So I saw someone here saying that we have a daily, like a virtual daily coffee or something. So even if this hasn't been thought about, certainly suggest it to your employer. If you're not like the boss,
yes.
Suggest it, you really, this thing is really like whatever thing you make out of it. Try as much as you can, have some conversations, bring in people. Recently, actually, I think it was last week, my team had, we had a virtual baby shower and it was good. So again, what we did was I think I looked for like games online for virtual baby shower and then started asking some questions, about nursery rhymes and some other things, getting facts about the babies, because this is something that we all were meant to do in person. We were scheduled to travel, I think it was last week. It was different, right? But it worked. It kind of made everybody come out. Then we have other things like, I think it's like virtual, lunch or virtual dinner. So when you come in, do not talk about work. Just bring your food, whatever thing it is, or bring water, and just
exactly.
Yeah.
And just have fun, like just enjoy it.
You understand? Like it's super important. So one thing I wanted us to talk about as well is just waking up to work, right? So for you, you already have an office. We had like, let's say 9 minutes, 8 minutes to go. But you already have an office, right? So you're established 3 years, this is not a shock. But some of us as well, I saw someone's poll and the person's like, guys, have you taken a shower today? And what time did you take a shower? For me, I found out that since, funny enough, I used to work from home a lot, like at least once a week. But this time, I find out that something that wakes me up is that morning shower before, like, I enter the full mood. Is that something that you think for yourself as well? And how was it when you even started this whole working from home thing?
Also, I figured out all these things I'm saying. I'm sounding so, like, I know it. I figured all of this out along the way.
Yeah.
So, in the beginning, I'll just be like, I'll take my bath right after I do this, right after I do this, right after I do this. For an entire week, I was taking my bath like reacting, and I didn't feel good at all. Well, because I'm actually one of those people that like water. And as in, I'm one of those people that, okay, we should have our bath at least twice a day. Not because we're trying to be cool, we just like to. So, I couldn't function at maximum for me. Right. That was what I found. But then as I started to read, I realized that actually it's psychological. It's like you're telling yourself, because if I was going out, even if I don't like taking my bath, I wouldn't have. So it's like telling yourself, I'm not yet out together. I'm still at home, I'm still trying to wake up. So but taking a shower definitely helps. And dressing now, the other day, I was in a video call with someone that told me, oh my gosh, do you look like this every time, since you're at home? I said, yes, especially when I have serious work to do. Like dressing up really just the fact that I, put on my clothes and come here to see, like, it changes everything. As opposed to just walking in here in my PJ and staying in PJ all day. I've had those days, and I think that I wasn't as efficient as I was on other days where I'm like, okay, I've dressed up to work, and then when it's 4, I'm going to go to the kitchen to serve. So on days when I'm, kind of structured, I get more done.
So there's a little background noise if you're able to, look into that. But if not, that's okay. I'm sure we can manage for 6 more minutes.
Okay, what's that?
Right.
Sure. Okay. So I'll tell you. So this is one of those things you can't control. It's raining heavily. It started like 2 minutes ago, and then I'm just like, riding the side.
Exactly. And I think it also takes me to that point. The next thing I want to talk about is also how it's okay to forgive yourself if it doesn't look like you have a script. right, for this working from home thing. You know, my friend called me. I hope she doesn't see this, but she called me and she's like, "Oh my God, I have a meeting. I had a meeting with like, you know, a chief finance officer for my company, and you know, it was meant to be 8:30. I woke up by 9 because I slept at 3. I have a baby, and you know, I told her it's okay. I said, don't worry. At this period, people are more forgiving. At least hopefully. I asked her, I said, is your boss or the person that you were talking about, is the person a very mean person? If the person is not, it's still tell the person, explain, you have a baby, you know, just this period, let's talk about that because people need to also do a lot of forgiving. You know, for example, your child is running in as you're doing a live stream and you're like, get out of here, things like that. You know, let's talk about forgiving self in this thing for the next week.
Yes. Okay. So you know, like just, I'm really grateful that you mentioned that. And I'll say something that one of my clients said to me. She said to me, never apologize for being a parent. This was a client. Like it was one of those clients where I'm like, I've collected plenty of money. I need to be serious, you know. And then you know, we're having one of those calls and my daughter was screaming. This one, my housekeeper was there. So it wasn't like I hadn't prepared for the call. But I said to her, look, that scream is not normal. I need to go check that out. I'm so sorry. You know, and then she said to me, never apologize for being a parent. She has, you know, teenagers. And that stuck with me. And I think that this is something I would have said to your friend. Like, if your baby keeps you up at 3 a.m., you don't plan for that. I've had times when, you know, I mean, there was one night when it was one of those times when my husband wasn't around, wasn't in town, and this was like 9 p.m. For some reason, my daughter's temperature it was just going out of control, and then I just grabbed my car keys and dashed up to the hospital. No matter what meeting I had the next day, it was immediately cancelled. You know, so those things happened.
Right.
And they will still continue to happen. So yeah, so it's okay. But that would bring me to one thing I want to make sure I mention here, which is the importance of saying no. Saying no is so important. It's so, especially right now. Especially right now, saying no. Like you see yourself trying to do 1 million things. Say no. Some people are bored, locked down. They have more time. They're making up work for themselves, and they're going to be trying to push some of the work onto you. Like just say, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do this right now." Every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And it doesn't matter what that something else is. As long as it is your priority, it's okay. It's okay. Like somebody can say, hey, Tolu, I have you for this, and I say no, and then I go to sleep. It's fine. I need to sleep. I'm a human being. So let's say no. It's not a life sentence. If I say I can't do this for you today, I might be able to do it for you tomorrow. And that's okay. In another season of life, you might be able to accommodate those things. But don't feel bad for setting boundaries. In fact, people will love you for it because now you realize that the things you choose to say yes to, you are there 100%. Right. And that's so important. It's so important.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's another P word we're picking from the planning and the preparation, and it's also prioritization, right? So that your prioritization helps you to say no. And there's something you said that's super important. I really like. You said, you know, even if I say no to it today, tomorrow I might be able to do it. So, you know, make sure you prioritize ruthlessly now that you're at home, because now you literally have more work. You have, like you said, you still have family that you need to call. You need to prioritize that, even if you're alone and you're single, because guess what? They're even more. I feel like for my mom, for example, like I keep saying, I think she's even panicking more than me right now, you know, and I'm like, okay, I need to call her to start managing, you know, this whole thing with her and say, hey, I'm fine. I know I'm in a country where you're hearing a lot of things, but I'm good. So even if I never used to call her more, before now, I have to do that now, or maybe send her a message just to reassure her. But yeah, so we have like 1 minute almost to wrap up, and of course the thanks are coming in as well. Thank you everyone for joining and for sharing. To you, thank you to you, Tolu. I learned a lot. You know, I'm just a learner in this thing. And to everyone, for Kemi, I saw all your comments. So everyone who had questions, there's someone else that said, I think someone else had a lot of questions. If you do, feel free to share them through alumni. You know, the time this is going to cut off automatically. But thank you so much. And Tolu, I don't know if you want to say something in the next 30 seconds before we wrap up.
Right. Something I want to emphasize, and somebody else has said, is, you know, like it's okay to turn off all these notifications. There's actually a button, a setting where you can go into WhatsApp, put up the notifications, go into Instagram, put up notifications, and then in the time that you have allocated to that, then you do it. Just because, see, we don't have more time right now. Forget all these people that are saying 20 things you can do while you're at home. We don't have more time. We still have 24 hours. that
Right.
we had before. So in this time that you have, choose to fill it with the things that will really matter. I don't think it will matter how many WhatsApp messages you read when the time is over.
So,
so,
and on
so
that note, I'm going
yes,
to stop you.
thank you.
So, thank you so much for sharing with the community. Thank you for giving back to the alumni as well. We're glad and
Thank
we're
you for
proud of
having
people like
me.
you. And
Thank you
we're
very
hoping
much for
that
having me.
absolutely, and we're hoping that everyone learned. This should be up on up on the story for 24 hours, and then later on YouTube. So everyone go watch before it expires. But thank you so much for engaging as usual. Bye.
Yes, thank you everyone. Bye.
All right.